Hello, hello, hello. This is Gresh from the I Am CEO podcast, and I have a very special guest on the show today. I have Maria JD of Art Heroes. Maria, it's awesome to have you on the show.
It's awesome to be here. Thanks for having me.
No problem. Definitely the pleasure's all ours. And before we jumped in, I want to read a little bit more about Maria so you can hear about all the awesome things that she's doing. And Maria is an EdTech entrepreneur and a CEO of an e-learning company, Art Heroes. She previously grown and exited educational and community businesses, and she's currently on a mission to make Art Heroes the most reputable digital art academy for industry professionals. Maria, are you ready to speak to the I Am CEO community?
Absolutely. It's really nice to get an opportunity. So let's go.
Yeah, let's do it then. So to kind of kick everything off, I wanted to hear a little bit more on how you got started. So could you take us through what I call your CEO story, and we'll let you get started with all the awesome work you're doing.
Okay, yeah. My CEO is also a founder story because I'm a co-founder of Art Heroes. So basically, yeah, it's very interesting. I'm very new to the industry, so to digital art industry. I mean, I guess relatively right because my co-founder has been in this for over 12 years, almost 15 years, I bet. And
Nice.
so I always wanted to like we've been friends for a long time, and I've seen him doing this. And when the opportunity came up, was like, man, we've got to monetize your following. We've got to do something amazing with what you do to make sure that you're not only an artist, because I've been in education for a very long time, and so I know how like how processes work. I'm very much into operations and growth, and putting things in order to make sure that they grow. So basically, we partnered as of like myself with the whole operations background and the growth background, and my co-founder was an industry professional, so he actually knows all the ins and outs about this niche where we're in. And well, by this time, I guess I also know quite a lot about it. But when we started, I was like, what do all these terms mean even? Yeah, so that's the story.
Nice. I absolutely love that. I feel like you kind of have to have, and a lot of times when that's the beauty of having co-founders is you get to lean on each other's strengths, it sounds like, and he has the expertise and that industry
Yeah.
knowledge where you have that systems and building business knowledge, it sounds like as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think, I honestly admire people who go in business all by themselves because I am very much of a team player. So I function really well in teams, with co-founders, with partners. And I don't know, I think I would be like super stressed if I had to do it all by myself. It's like you carry all like the knowledge and the expertise and the systems and the processes. And like, yeah, just like sounds so much more stressful to me.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you only go as far as your team. So even if you are your own team, a lot of times you can only go as far as you allow yourself to let, to take you. So it's so big to be able to kind of see, recognize, understand our lanes and be able to kind of come together to create and build something phenomenal. And so I know one of those phenomenal things that you're building is Art Heroes. Could you take us through a little bit more about that so we can learn exactly what it is and how you serve the clients you work with?
Sure, absolutely. So Art Heroes is an e-learning business, and basically we are digital art academy online. So what we do is serve content to digital artists, and our, I guess, like the major differentiator from places like YouTube and places like Udemy and lynda.com, like I guess those are like the most famous learning platforms, will be that we not only like serve videos and whatever comes with it, but also direct feedback and a lot of instruction. So if you can think of an actual, like, like an actual college education, with the difference that we work with artists that currently work in the industry, that would be us. So there will be like feedback sessions and Q&A sessions and office hours, plus like a bulk of content that's pre-recorded, and final projects and certificates, so things like that. And our students normally are the people that work in video games and in movies. So for example, create characters for movies and advertising and cinematics. And yeah, so that would be a good example. Or create pieces for collectionists or actual, like, like, so if you see this thing, like, just, since I have it, we're recording the video, this is 3D printed. So something like this can be created, and actually, like, we've got also like 3D printing program, and people can learn how to put it from from the computer to the desk. So it's like a combination of art, visual facts. Yeah, that's what we are. That's what we do.
Nice. I absolutely love that. And definitely correct me if I'm wrong, is it sounds like you have that opportunity to really go in depth about each of the different topics. As you mentioned, like the college education, it's not just, maybe watching a 20, 30-minute video and trying to execute it. You get the feedback, you get that interaction, but you also get the depth of really learning a topic in and out, it sounds like.
Definitely. Yeah, art education is not as straightforward. Like, I know people that spend like years and years in different like art academies, and in the end of the day, it's about not only like learning the history of it, but also like practices, current standards that change so fast in digital art specifically. Like every year, there is a piece of software that everybody has go and learn because it's used in production. And yeah, so like we're pretty fast paced, and just definitely teach what's on, like, and what's being used in the studios like these days, and how to actually, like, along the way, how to get this job, how to progress your career. So it's like really helpful when you talk to people, who are like doing what you want to be doing right now, not like 10 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially with the innovation that's happening in the industry. As you
Yeah, yeah,
said, you
yeah.
want to make sure that you're continuing to kind of sharpen that saw, you're continuing to kind of get better, and having, it sounds like a community, and obviously the education and information and to be
Yeah,
able to lean on
community
is
is
so
always great.
huge.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Would you consider that to be what I call your secret sauce? I know you touched on it a little bit. Is that the thing you feel kind of sets you apart? Is that ability to not just be the video, to not just be the Udemy as you mentioned, but to really be a
Yeah,
hybrid of both?
definitely. 100%. We're an ecosystem more of a than just like a school, or like, or one instructor, because there's several instructors, they all have personalities, there is a community. And one thing that we really love is that our students get unlimited feedback. So it's not like, like, show up and, like, this is not good, go redo it. But like, you can go and redo it and show it again, and redo it and show it again, and redo it and show it again, until you're actually happy. So, and then like, and this feedback is sourced from instructors and from the students, because everybody sees what everybody else is doing. So it's like, yeah, and people like meet each other. So I don't know, like, I think this actual like, yeah, ecosystem would be the secret sauce of art heroes at this point.
Yeah, I absolutely love that word ecosystem. And I love how, kind of I guess, I don't know if I call it a feedback loop, where you get that opportunity to kind of create something and get that feedback, get the interaction from people. Because I almost feel like, at least for me, that's one of the best ways to learn, is because you get that opportunity to kind of try something, get feedback, and continue to improve upon that. I often feel like that's how life goes in so many different aspects, and definitely sounds like it is in the ecosystem.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess for myself, like, this loop is created through my mastermind groups, or where I meet people like me, and they can follow up and follow up and follow up, like,
Yeah.
regularly. But yeah, it's just, I guess, different from industry to industry.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But it's so important to kind of get that. And so I wanted to switch gears a little bit, and I wanted to ask you for what I call a CEO hack. So this could be like an Apple book or a habit that you have, but what's something that makes you more effective and efficient?
That's a great question. I think for me, my hack would be, like, it's probably not something like super innovational, but I would bring the mastermind back again, because it's something that has been pushing this business and like many other projects that I've had, like, way faster. And for me, this hack would be not just like join a random mastermind group, but you can probably experiment and try. But for me, I have this, like, one where we're like similar businesses at similar stage, same industry, surprisingly, even same niche. Like, it's a bunch of like online art businesses. So it's really, really close, like really similar to each other. But like, everybody helps each other grow. and I guess just improves each one's business. So like if you guys are not yet doing like masterminding, it's not really some woo woo thing. It is really helpful, very structured, and yes, as a structure, I really recommend trying at least.
Yeah, it's absolutely huge, and it's in. I believe the first time at least I heard about it was Think and Grow Rich. It talks about so much about
Yeah,
those
right. Me
master.
too.
Yeah,
Same
those
for me.
master.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. So those mastermind communities is getting like-minded people that are striving towards a certain goal and to be on the same page in order to do that. And a lot of times, where you are and who you are, a lot of times you may not be able to define it yourself, but if you look around the 5 people that are around you, that often tells you a lot. So it's so important to be aware of
Exactly.
that and
Exactly.
really lean
Yeah.
on each other.
Yeah, because I think it's sometimes really hard to see where you're lying to yourself, and
Mm.
you just think that something is a problem that is actually not. Yeah, so it's really hard also to even when you talk to your founders, there is a conflict of interest. Even when you talk to your board, there is a conflict of interest. There's always one. You can't really talk about like all these things to your employees because they're not always supposed to be on the same page. But I think this community of people where you can be transparent about most of your stuff and get like valuable feedback, I think this is priceless. This is priceless.
Yeah, and it's absolutely huge. And as you said, it's really hard to kind of step outside of yourself, step outside of your business to be able to give yourself unbiased opinion and unbiased information, but to be a part of a community that allows you to really be able to do that and to bounce ideas off of people. And as we kind of talked about, continue to grow together is so big because it can be a lonely road being an entrepreneur and business owner. So often, you want to try to leverage as many resources as you can to try to succeed as much as possible.
100%. Yep. Absolutely agree with that.
Awesome. And so I wanted to ask you now for what I call a CEO nugget. And this could be a word of wisdom or piece of advice. It might be something you would tell a client, or if you hopped into a time machine, you might tell your younger business self.
Huh. That's a good one. That's a good one. I'd say iterate fast and experiment, because this is something that I always actually tell myself every week. What is this one thing that we can test? What is this one new thing that we can try out? And it's not always super easy to do because sometimes, the routine and the planned activities, like, or just like the business essentials take so much time and effort. But if we're thinking this, like if we're thinking 80-20 in business, of course, like 80% is like business as usual, like normal life. But at least I definitely always want to set aside a little bit of my time and resources, like just other resources, to this testing and iteration and experiments, because sometimes you don't know where you can get like this new learning, where you can innovate a little bit. So that's again towards pushing yourself out of your comfort zone and doing something new for your business, to your business. And it might be as small as, I don't know, like A/B testing headings and subject lines in the emails, or I don't know, or like A/B testing like different ad campaigns, or like making your marketing team do something new, or just I don't know, doing something new with your clients, with your partners. Just let's say throwing something in, like one random wild card. So, and something like that doesn't take a lot of your resources, so like the typical lean startup thing. But when you do this small lean startup techniques, when you implement that on a functioning business, you never stop improving. So that would be my nugget. And as an example, like I'm just gonna share what I'm doing this week. So normally we would do, and again, like it's not like huge or like super innovational, but it's just something that we have not done before. So for example, like we just finished like the major sale of the year. It's like Black Friday, literally just now. And we're following this with Cyber Monday to different audience, like completely different audience. And normally we would just do one a year. But this time we decided to, like, we changed promotion, we changed like discounts, and we're just doing two audiences, different audiences, and seeing how like Black Friday versus Cyber Monday will perform for us. And just, we did it completely different last year, so just, as an experiment.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. I love how you mentioned that 80/20, because I think so many times when a lot of times we think about innovation, we think about completely throwing everything out the baby in the bathwater and completely starting anew. But a lot of times it starts out by just testing those little things. I appreciate you giving that really tangible example, because it just might be using and doing and executing on a different sale, or using and focusing on a different segment, or doing something on those lines and executing on it, getting the data and understanding, okay, this did work, or it didn't work. And we don't have to completely revamp the entire business as a result. We continue to innovate. We continue to ask how we make it better. We continue to kind of go and build there. And I love, because I feel like it synergizes with everything we talked about at the core of your business as well, too, of being able to kind of try different things that the students get to do. They get to execute, they get to get feedback, and then they continue to kind of build and grow from there.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's just like these small things, they really don't have to absolutely change your business, but it's just something that you learn, like, because and maybe sometimes actually for me personally, it's like I want to get it out of my system. So I've
Mm-hmm.
been thinking of this idea, and instead of like keeping this idea on my to-do list for another like 5 years, I'd rather like run it in a small at a small scale. And okay, maybe I can't like launch this, let's call it a conference, right? So we really want to do a conference. Maybe I can't do a conference because like my resources are constrained and it's not in my budget this year. But I can, like, let's say I can do at least like series of meetups, um so something like this, and I can see if my audience is like at all is interested in any type of happenings and events. So yeah, just that would be another example.
Yeah, that's so huge. And I think so many times when people, think about success, they think about sometimes it's waking up, have an idea, waking up the next day and then having the conference. But a lot of times I found, and I hear, stories about the people that are able to succeed, they do and execute on the MVP. They start out with something that's one small meetup, and then they start to build up. And then 3 years down the line, not only do they have the conference because they have the resources, they have the time to do it, but they also have all of this data and information
Of
to increase their
course.
likelihood of it being successful.
100%, 100%. You just like, I think what you just said like makes a huge difference. It's like when you have the data, like and not necessarily the data on like numbers and sales, but also how your audience perceives it, and
Mhm.
some like more soft data, if I may call it this way. So like what's the wording, what's the like what's the sentiment, yeah, and just like build up skills in your company to iterate and innovate. And I think this is also huge.
Yeah, it's definitely a game changer, for sure. And so now I want to ask you my absolute favorite question, which is the definition of what it means to be a CEO. And we're hoping to have different quote unquote CEOs on this show. So Maria, what does being a CEO mean to you?
To me, being a CEO means um, being, I would say, in charge, and 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 leading in good and bad, I'd say. Like, so not being afraid of taking decisions that where you have a lot of uncertainty. This to me means being a CEO, because it's not really following what you're told to do. You're definitely that person that tells the rest of the team what everybody's going to be doing. And so I'm sure that this year has been definitely, like this type of tester for many, 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 many CEOs out there, because you never know if what you're doing is going to produce a good or bad result, but you just like have to take a stand for your company, and yeah, and then like keep a responsibility for your actions, and yeah, and your decisions, because basically you're the driver of your business, and yeah, you just do what will then produce like all these results. So kind of, like in, as well as keeping responsibility for your life, you also keep the responsibility for your company. And there is no use of like saying, oh, like, it's Corona. Of course it's Corona, but like you also took decisions that, that caused your company to grow, to fail, or just like to keep it at standby. That's it.
Yeah.
It's that.
Nice. I absolutely love that. And obviously 2020 has been an interesting year. And I think that what you said, really hit home because a lot of it is taking ownership. Obviously, there are circumstances that are outside of our control that we
Yeah.
cannot affect, but there are certain ones that we can affect on a regular basis. And I love, how, you spoke to that because it reminds us of the things that we can do in order to be leaders, in order to see things that will, come about and innovate our companies and taking those actions to do that rather than looking at things that we can't control as much. So I appreciate that definition.
Yeah, I think it's really, it's really not about always taking the perfect decisions because we're all just humans. None of us can like have these perfect decisions unless, you've been, taking the same position in like very, very similar companies, which is like not possible. Like, yeah, just like life changes, but still, yeah, it's just, I guess, like also allowing yourself to take imperfect decisions. This is also fine. Yeah, because you're just a human, like that acts on, in the company's best interest, in your own best interest. So this is, yeah, just okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And the funny thing is that a lot of times when we're waiting for that perfect time, it never comes because it doesn't actually exist. So it's
No.
so important to kind of take that imperfect action and continue to innovate and iterate as we kind of talked about as well too. So Maria, truly appreciate that definition and I appreciate your time even more. What I wanted to do is pass you the mic, so to speak, just to see if there's anything additional you want to let our readers and listeners know. And of course, how best they can find out about you and all the awesome things you and your team are working on.
Sure. I really actually appreciate being here. It's been a really interesting conversation. Thanks for the questions. It's, I guess, it's, there are all those things that we never really think of on like daily life. But I would say one last thing that is important is building everything that you want to become in your routine, and like as a part of like weekly planning, daily planning, or whatever planning you do, just always ask yourself a question: where am I going with my company? Am I going as a person? And just incorporate all of this. Just like, like always take a moment to think of that. So I'd say this is a little thing that makes it make this change. And for me, just kind of, like always taking a moment to think, not just like blindly copying my action items from last quarter to this quarter. But yeah, just asking hard questions the way, like you do on the podcast. Just ask yourself same questions, just more frequently. That's yeah,
Yes.
I guess. And yeah, so your second part of the question, yeah, artheroes.co is the main website of the business, and I'm pretty easy to find on, I guess, LinkedIn or Instagram. That would be my two platforms. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I appreciate that, Maria. We will definitely have the links and information in the show notes. And I love that kind of last, bit of wisdom about asking yourself the same podcast questions, because we need to ask ourselves those really hard questions to see, where we are, things that we can improve upon, and realizing that those small things become big things. Because I think the quote is, and I'm going to butcher, your thoughts become your actions become your days become your months become your years, and so on and so forth. So you want to start out and paying attention to those small things because they become big things. So I definitely appreciate that, Maria. And I hope you have a phenomenal rest of the day.
You too. Thanks so much for having me again.
All right. And I'll cut it off here. Hello, hello, hello. This is Gresh again from the I Am CEO podcast, and we had a very special guest on the show today. We have Maria JD of Art Heroes, and she provided loads of great information and wisdom to us about what she's building, but also just things that we can kind of take into account as entrepreneurs, business owners, and CEOs. And Maria, I appreciate you for hopping on the bonus section. And for people that may not have heard the podcast yet or just listening to this, could you tell us a little bit more about you and Art Heroes so we can learn a little bit more about what you do?
Of course. Hi again, Gresh, and thanks so much for having me. I'm the co-founder and the CEO of Art Heroes, and Art Heroes is a digital art academy. We're specialized on 3D art, and we create a community and provide knowledge to professional 3D artists that go and work in video games, entertainment, specifically movies, cinematics, advertising, so things like that. Yeah, that's what we do with Art Heroes. And yeah, I've been running it for a couple of years now.
Nice. And I absolutely love that. And we kind of talked a little bit in the beginning of the story of how, Art Heroes was founded, about how you and your co-founder were able to kind of lean on each other's strengths to be able to kind of build Art Heroes into what it is. But I think one of the things we talked about offline was the ecosystem. That was a word that you used. And I love that word because you talked about that community and that ecosystem and how you were able to not just serve the people that you work with, serve the students and the clients, but to create a really interactive, it sounds like, environment that help people to grow and to prosper and to be really successful. Could you talk a little bit more about that and what you all are doing and how you've been able to kind of execute on that?
All right. Yes, of course. And actually, this is kind of a very interesting that we're talking about this now because I bet it's the first time that I called it ecosystem now on the podcast. But I love how it fell,
Mm-hmm.
how like this
Okay.
word actually is a very wide definition. So I think the best way to describe it would be that we are a combination of learning material, so the platform with content, community of instructors, students, and and I would say the culture that exists in this community. So as I said before, like, on the podcast, we're different from other schools and I would say other like e-learning websites like I don't know, like Udemy and Lynda.com and whatever, with by the fact that we actually provide a lot of feedback to our students the way you would expect in a normal university or even more, because in our case, it's almost 24/7 instruction. And one very interesting thing, and that's probably because we're definitely priced differently than I would say like Udemy. So it's more premium content because we employ instructors who work with students. We have this tight community, and like our all of our instructors like get to meet students and get to give them one-to-one feedback. And in addition to this, we as team also reach out to our students. So there is a very interesting system that we built and we lean on in terms of like this connection with our clients. So actually, it's three things that exist there. So meanwhile they're studying, there is the forum, so where they post their progress, get feedback, connect with each other. So that's like the forum, in which is the community. That's meanwhile they're studying. Then after they graduate, they get an opportunity to record an interview with us, and the interview serves a bunch of purposes. Students that are successful are really happy to share their progress with the world. They want to get more exposure because they're artists. Obviously, it's an opportunity for them to showcase their work. So this is like number two. And when we go to this to the interview, we talk to them for quite some time. I mean, it's like half an hour to 1 hour. We get to know what our programs did, to their progress, to like what they exactly they learned. So it's a huge opportunity to learn about them and in their words. So our team runs the interviews and then we publish that. And then like there is the third point when they actually can do um, like a blog content piece of content with us. And it's also like it's kind of started in the interview format, but then we go like also in depth. It's very different from video, but they almost become um, like instructors in a way. So they go deeper in the program that they encountered, for example, during the course, or something like a solution. So yeah, so we give more visibility to our students in this way as well. And yeah, and it's also like really fun for them to do. They kind of share their achievements and their progress. So those are the three things. And then like even after they graduate, they maintain the membership of the community. And yeah, and then there is even the fourth one, which is the virtual meetups on specific topics. So yeah, basically, I guess what I'm saying is that like even in virtual, like in a completely online business like ours, we're remote natives. We're distributed. Uh, we take time to actually meet our clients and learn about them, and help them to achieve their little goals. So very few of these things can be automated if you think of that. All these the processes definitely are. So they get invitations to join the, to jump on the interview, the invitation to do like, a case study for the blog or something. But then actually follow up, and then like many of these things like actually they're done by humans, and that's the beauty of that, of all these things. And like meetups are also about human connections. So I'd say, it's really powerful, embedding the power of human connection in like digital businesses, and leveraging that, and also like learning from it. So yeah, that's it.
Nice. I absolutely love that. And I love it, especially that phrase that you said, kind of looking beyond those things that can be automated. And that's where that humanness, that's where that connection piece lies. And the different ways by which you've created that connection, as you talked about the forum, you talked about the interviews, you talked about getting that opportunity to be on the blog, or continuing that membership, and kind of being able to kind of hear and see and be connected with those people that may have different viewpoints or different interactions, or different things that they've learned, so you can continue to kind of sharpen the saw yourself. So I love just those different aspects of, interaction and that connection. I can definitely see how that ecosystem is continuing to build and grow.
Absolutely. It's just, I guess we all know that profitable customer acquisition is hard,
Mhm.
but um, customer retention, if done right, is probably be easier. And within a small community like ours, still pretty tight as of like industry. If, for us, it's very important to build the reputation and continue preserving it, and continue preserving relationships. But yeah, again, I would say like different businesses are different with models, and like different business models. But for where we are, it's been going pretty well.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely sounds like, and I appreciate you for digging down a little bit deeper and drilling down. When you were building the ecosystem, was it something where you just kind of did those interviews and became a basis for what you wanted to do to grow and expand and try different things, because you had that quote unquote feedback and information from the people you were already serving?
Yeah, that's actually a very good question. Our interview started with like one small test project. We were
Mm,
like, it was never meant to be like part of our, part
process.
of our big plan of action. Like, let's just always be doing the interviews. But no,
Mm,
actually, we, for one of the product launches that we had, like that's this test that we had in mind. Let's test UGC, so like user generated content for us, and how that could be done. And so there were two options of these interviews, and we ran them, and that was amazing, because it was not only that we managed to get direct student feedback, like our students talking about like just I guess like was it like hardships, and what they loved about the program. And they were just like, okay, so what can you say to the students, to like other potential customers? And they're like raving about the program. So that was amazing, and we got to learn a lot in this process. So it was not only that we recorded some, let's say, feedback, video feedback, but we got like full 1 hour of your direct customer feedback. And we're like, geez, we should be doing more of this. Like we should just like doing this all the time. And yeah, and also like we published this interview on our YouTube channel, and we thought that it's just like, some commercial content, or like who wants to watch feedback, like feedback interview. But it was just like, I think in a week it became the second most watched video on our channel.
That's
So we have
awesome.
a huge channel, but still, like from like 5K subscribers, it's
Yeah.
like second most watched video. Like, oh, okay, interesting, people want that.
Yeah, it speaks so well to what we talked about, during the interview of your nugget, which was taking that 80-20, understanding what that 20 is, and kind of exploring
Absolutely.
that. And it could sometimes become more of, more than the 20%, just because you have to continue to kind of test out things. So I love that you said that and remind us of, being able to test out and try different things, because a lot of times those small things can become big things.
That's exactly the example. That's exactly the example. If I was to, like, showcase how the innovation works in our business, I'd say, yeah, we just did this thing that we're like, oh, that's probably irrelevant.
And then next thing you know, it becomes
Yeah, yeah. Next thing
insanely
is like,
relevant.
oh no, that actually was
This
relevant.
is the thing. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry, changed my mind. That was relevant.
Exactly. Exactly. That's why we always create in pencil, right? So we can always erase it and change it out.
Yeah.
So, Maria, truly appreciate you for again hopping on the bonus section and digging down a little bit deeper. For people that might just be listening to this, what is the best way for them to get a hold of you and find out about all the awesome things that you're working on?
Oh yeah, sure. So artheroes.co is the main website of our company, and for myself personally, I'm mostly hanging out on LinkedIn and Instagram. I'm happy to share links to profiles, but I'm fairly easy to locate by Maria JD.
Absolutely. And to make it even easier, we will have those links and information in the show
All
notes
right.
so that you can
Amazing.
follow up with Maria. Well, I appreciate you again, Maria, and I hope you have a phenomenal rest of the day.
Thanks.